Matt here, and I want to tell you about an exciting new product called ScrapeJet. ScrapeJet is from the developers of Scrapebox, and what they've done is they've taken the link building features of Scrapebox and they've incorporated it into one tool. So it will comment, it will send trackbacks, it will test proxies, it will check backlinks, and it will do all of it on autopilot. You don't have to do anything. So we can have a look here at the actual ScrapeJet interface. And if we wanted to get started quickly doing things the easy way, we could just punch in some keywords, a URL, leave it on auto grab comments, save that project, add the project down here in the working area and hit run session and walk away. And it will do everything else. Test proxies, pull keywords, pull URLs. It'll then turn around and try to comment to those URLs. It'll check for backlinks. You can set filter criteria, bad word lists, everything. So if we just wanted to do it the easy route, that's how we do it. We do have more options, of course. So I just went ahead and punched in SEO, marketing, and ScrapeJet here. 3 keywords, comma separated. We can also load a list of keywords. Now, if you load a list of keywords, it will not scrape keywords from things like Google Suggest and that sort of thing, because it's going to take these 3 keywords by default and it's going to turn around and try to scrape other keywords that are related from Google Suggest and that sort of thing. So we can load up a list or use our own there. We can put in up to 3 URLs, and if we wanted to work with more than that, of course, we can load in a list of URLs. Just put 1 URL per line in a standard text file. And then for comments, we can auto grab comments. It will actually scrape comments for us from other blogs and use those, or we can use our own in spin text format. We can test comments if you wanted to use your own and make sure that your spin text formatting is correct, as well as load up a list of comments that you have in a text file. Once it's all said and done, I'm going to leave it here on auto grab comments. We'll just save the profile, and we're just going to save it here and call it whatever we want. And I already have one there. I'm just going to replace it. And then once I have it saved, I'm going to go add profiles down here and add it to the list of things that we want to work with. Now we can load them up here and edit the profiles, but we can also just right click and go edit profiles. And here we can edit any comments assigned to that profile and change it between auto grab and user comments, any URLs, any keywords that are assigned to that profile. Down here under anchor text, we have the option to use names, and it'll use a standard list of names that it generates from many billions of names. We can use keywords, which would use these as our anchor text, or we can use both names and keywords to give it a nice mix. We can set to only post when page rank is greater than X, 1 through 10, and of course 0 are not applicable. We can set that based on the domain page rank, so if you wanted to only post to domains that had a page rank but not necessarily concerned about the actual URL, or we can set the URL page rank as well. We can also set to not post comments with sites more than X outbound links. Now of course you'd want to be careful with these, because if you set these too high, you're not going to really get very many links. But we can also load in more comments, test comments, cancel, and then once we're all said and done, we can hit update profile and it will save that. Now that's going to overwrite this profile if you have it saved on your hard drive, so you'd want to know that whatever changes you make, those are saved. Once that's done, we can have a look at settings. Under settings, we have some basic connections and timeout settings. I'm running on a pretty high-end server here, so I've turned the connections up to max and I've turned my timeouts down to medium. If you hover over here, there are recommendations for standard connection and timeout settings, and I would start there and then play with it and see what works for you. Under proxies, we have the option to use proxies. We can auto harvest proxies, and ScrapeJet will go out and get fresh proxies all the time, every so often when it needs them, and it will test them and then it will use them. Or you can include your private proxies and you can just load the list or paste them in here and it will use those, or you can check both boxes and use a nice mix of both. Under other options, we have the opportunity to use a bad words list, where it will filter out pages based on a bad word list, and we just load that up here. And then we have the option to use a blacklist as well, where we can skip any URL in the list so that we're not commenting on, say, Matt Cut's blog, things like that. And you have the option to load that up over here as well. pretty straightforward. Those are the settings. Once it's all done, you just hit run session and ScrapeJet will go through and do everything. You can see the status under current activities as things cycle through. You can also load up multiple profiles here and run them all through. So let me just show you here some that's been running for a while. So this particular instance here has been running for about 46 hours, and I just loaded things up and let it run, and you can see that it's picked up 1,003 backlinks off of this, and that is from me loading up a list of URLs, and I put in 3 keywords and hit go. And here it is, 1,003 links. Now, one of the other really great things that we can do with this is, so say I have 1,003 links here. Now, all those links are going to get saved in my folder here. So this is my ScrapeJet folder. Under backlinks, my reports are all saved here. Now, once I have a list generated, these are basically auto-approved links, but once that list is generated, I can go to my session, for instance, that we just did, and when we stop it, by the way, it gives us the option to save the current session, and if we do that, we can resume session here, and then when we go back to it, we can pick up right where we left off so that we don't have to start from the beginning and re-scrape all those URLs and re-comment on all those URLs and that sort of thing, which is really handy. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to assign a URL list to this post. So if I go assign a URL list, now it does give you a notification that it's basically going to, when you assign a list to a particular profile, all of the profiles will be removed from the list. Do you want to continue? Yes. And what's going to happen is it's going to give me the option to now go assign things. And so as I go down through here, I can see my backlinks and just go ahead and assign that list. And so that 1,000 backlinks that I had, I assigned that in, and now ScrapeJet will run through and get links on those pages as well for this new profile that I've created. Or you could load in auto-approve lists that you have made, or things that you've brought over from Scrapebox, for instance, and that sort of thing. So there's really a lot of great options that you have there, and let's look at the actual configuration here. Under configuration folder, we have these things here. This BE and this WP, these are def files. Those are what's called definition files. And this is what ScrapeJet uses to comment on blogs. So this particular one is for WordPress. And as it loads up here, we can see if you've used Scrapebox's Learning Mode add-on, you'll notice this is very familiar. Basically, this is a Scrapebox Learning Mode add-on file, definition file, except it has one line here, this footprint added. So what happens is if you have Scrapebox and you go into learning mode, you can train up a platform and you get this file here, and then you add one line underneath it that's footprint equals, and then you basically put in a footprint, and we'll do a different video here and I'll talk about how to make these footprints for each particular platform. But basically you load in this footprint and then hit save, and now you have basically just taught ScrapeJet how to work with a whole new platform. So it is open to all the platforms that the Scrapebox Learning Mode add-on works with. So that is very powerful because we can train up and add in all kinds of platforms. Right now it's coming with WordPress and Blog Engine out of the box, but we can add in countless other platforms, guestbooks, blogs, the whole 9 yards there. A couple of files here. This include proxies file, that's just your proxies file, an INI file, and then some generic comments. This platforms folder is not included. That's something that I have made there because I edit these def files and mess around with them, and I just kept backups in here. And data is pretty basic. These are just different files Scrapebox uses to work with things, or ScrapeJet rather. And under recovery here, that's the recovery data used to restore your session and to pick up where it left off. And that is the premise of how we use ScrapeJet. A couple of things worth noting is that for your purchase, you actually get 2 licenses for the one cost, as well as everything is automated. You go to scrapejet.net and it will load up the entire automated licensing and transfer. So as soon as you purchase, you'll get an email and you have information in that email. You log in, And once it's logged in, all your data is there for registration. You register and the program works immediately. If you want to transfer it to another server, VPS, dedicated server, another computer, you reformat your computer, buy a new one, that sort of thing, all you have to do is go back to ScrapeJet.net, log in, hit the reset license button, and it will clear out your old computer registration, and then you go to the new computer, load the program, punch in your information, and it immediately works. So everything is automated. You get to use the program immediately, and you can transfer it and use it immediately as well. And I just pulled up, this is what the login page would look like. Pretty straightforward. Your email address and your password that's generated. Now you would want to note that whatever your primary email address is in PayPal is what the money's going to be sent from, and the registration email will be sent to that. So make sure you check that folder and any spam folders that you have associated with that particular email address, and then you use that email address and then the password that it gives you, log in, and then it'll give you all the information that you need for registration, and you are set up and ready to go. And that is ScrapeJet.